We acknowledge that Tri-Cities Community Television operates on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coquitlam First Nation. We thank the Coquitlam who continue to live on these lands and care for them along with the waters and all that is above and below.
Welcome to Tri-Cities Community Television. I'm Cathy, your host, and today we are recording from the Poirier Library, and we'd like to thank them for donation of their space. We're continuing with our series in our election. Don't forget to vote on October 17th. And in the studio today is Jane Thomsing, running for the city of Coquitlam. Jane, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much, Cathy, and thank you, Tri-Cities TV community, for doing this. It's really important, so thanks so much.
Yeah, it's important to keep our viewers informed about what's going on in the municipality. Jane, tell us, why are you running for Coquitlam?
Great question. Well, I've been living in Coquitlam now for about 20 years, and when I moved here back in 2006, it was really important to me to feel involved and to contribute to the community. So I joined a number of different community groups and helped out with some environmental initiatives, joined school committees, and my husband coached sports. And now I'm working in the school District 43, as an education assistant at our elementary schools. And so after all this time and being involved and knowing that Mayor Richard Stewart stepping away and Brent Asmundson stepping away after they both served for such a long time, I know there'll be a couple of vacancies and the timing feels right. Community is huge to me. I really feel that by volunteering and working in the community, I feel very connected, and I think this is how communities thrive, is by all of us coming involved. And so the timing feels right, and it's really important to me with the vacancies that are becoming available that we have representation that is really going to serve the community as a whole, and to make sure that the decisions being made are benefiting the community as a whole rather than a smaller selected few. Right. And I know that I have those qualities, and I would of course love to see a bit more gender balance as well on council. And being a woman, of course, I thought now's the time to step out of my comfort zone and give it a go.
Great, fantastic. What is one issue that you believe matters most to Coquitlam residents?
Oh, well, there's a few to choose from, but perhaps I'll go with, inclusivity and equity. And that goes not just for council, obviously it'd be nice to see a bit more gender balance, like I said, but I feel that it's really important that every community member in Coquitlam, really feels valued, is treated with dignity and respect, and feels heard. And public engagement processes and consultation processes are extremely important, and we have them here. I've participated in many. I've been knocking on hundreds of doors and attending quite a few meetings, and some of the feedback I've been hearing is related to hoping for a bit more of an improved public engagement process, in that where community residents feel that their input matters, rather than, we're doing the public engagement ending on a Friday and votes taking place on a Monday. And I'm not suggesting that they're flawed by any stretch, but I do think there could be room for improvement. Mm-hmm. And I want to ensure that as a council, that we would be really ensuring that have we reached out to everybody who's being impacted by the decisions that we're making. And also, have we reached out to the experts in the community, who no doubt have invaluable input that we should really consider before making decisions. So really that comes down to being inclusive and treating everyone equally, and no matter what their background or circumstances are.
Right. So we talked about the one issue that you thought maybe was affecting Coquitlam residents, but what are your top three priorities? When you get into council, what are the top three things that you're even running for right now?
For sure. Great question. And so, I mean, I have to say, the inclusivity and equity is definitely one of them. I think that it's important that community members feel heard and valued, like I said. Of course, my background is very environmental, so environment is a huge one for me. I will say, we know Coquitlam is not immune to the climate crisis, and we unfortunately have faced some disastrous flooding, heat domes. We're already at stage 3 water restrictions. So I think that we really need to have a strong voice on council that has an environmental background. So again, we can ensure that the decisions that we're making, we can really consider what impact they're having on our environment, because at the heart of this is really having a healthy community. We're talking about, food security. We're talking about, obviously, like the climate issues I mentioned with flooding. And so we really need to be thinking a lot about environment, I think, on council. And I mean, perhaps what I'm hearing to be the most important issue is really affordability. And I would put affordability and housing in a very, the same category, essentially. And, I have 3 jobs. My husband works full time. We've got 3 kids and a mortgage. And I really feel like I'm one of the luckier ones from being out in the community, because there are a lot of people that are really, really suffering right now in terms of the affordability crisis. And I don't have to worry that I'm going to lose my home tomorrow. I don't have to worry, how am I going to feed my kids tonight? But this is the reality for a lot of people in the community. And it's a huge concern. And everybody in this community should have access to the basics of having somewhere safe to put their heads down, and also to be able to feed their family or themselves. And unfortunately, this is not what's happening. And so I think as a council, I do understand and appreciate the 3 levels of government, but it's important for municipal governments to really advocate for more, affordable housing, and also think about, when we're making decisions, the impact this is going to have on affordability. Are we ensuring that the services that we have are getting to everybody in the community, and not just people that might be in a higher financial bracket? So it's a crisis right now, I think. So we really have to maybe even look to other communities and find creative solutions for this issue.
And then that brings us to housing, of course, and you just touched on it briefly. It is a major concern, but how do we balance growth, affordability, and protecting the character of Coquitlam?
It's a really amazing question that I'm sure a lot of people are thinking about, and it is a very complex issue, like you say. While we're looking at densification, and that's obviously finding more housing that's along transit routes. For other people that have lived in Coquitlam for 30 plus years, are finding it hard to lose that beauty of their their house and how their neighborhood felt beforehand. And this is definitely a tricky one. And it's important, again, that we are reaching out to those people that are being impacted and getting their feedback prior to making development decisions. I mean, I look at some of the developments, and sometimes I just feel that we really have to think about, do we have services in place? Do we have transit routes in place that are really going to help make this community connected? And so it's a lot to think about. And like I say, I think there are lots of models in other communities too that work quite well. I mean, I like to always think and look at the 15-minute model. It's a nice one where it sort of looks at families or individuals living somewhere where they can access things within 15 minutes, whether it's the shops or the rec facilities and that. So but of course, affordability is really at the heart of it right now. And so I think we have to find, like I said, creative solutions, really advocate to the provincial government to help us out with that, and make sure that we're doing everything we can to ensure people have shelter.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on density, development, and infrastructure, and keeping up with the pace of the growth of the city?
Well, I mean, these are very important things to consider prior to developments. And, I've been knocking on doors in certain neighborhoods where there is frustration around developments being complete before there's school, before there's infrastructure, before there's transit. And this makes it very tricky. I mean, not only for people to feel like they're part of the community and having access to these resources and services, but also it's not what they maybe feel they were buying into. And so all of a sudden maybe their value of their homes don't feel like they thought it was going to be, because these services aren't in place. I'm very excited for areas like where Burke Mountain is going to get access to a new rec facility, and I hope that they're going to be a bit more thought into how the transit system is going to work up there, because I am hearing that people are struggling to find transit without going quite a ways to get right down into the main hub of Coquitlam. So these are things that I think council really needs to listen to, and also make sure that we are thinking about how far we're wanting to expand, and making sure if people want to be able to get to work or have access to grocery stores, perhaps we're better off doing density and in areas where transit already exists. So lots to consider. Like I said, a very complex issue, but definitely top of mind.
Mm-hmm. How can the city better support families, seniors, youth, and small businesses?
Yeah, well, many ideas that I have for that. I mean, if we're talking about seniors, for example, we're seeing a lot of seniors who are now also really struggling from the affordability crisis. So seniors housing, and it really needs to be top of mind in council decisions, and we need to be able to provide seniors with a safe place to live. Also making sure that it's affordable. I mean, I'm sure but I've met many people now who have parents that are aging and are really struggling to find anywhere for them to go without looking at about a $5,000 to $10,000 cost per month. And this is just not realistic for many people. So we really need to think about that. And sorry, you are asking not just about seniors, but
Youth and businesses.
Oh, youth. Yeah, I mean, I have a teenager, so I think having facilities and services that we can offer to youth, and I'm happy to hear that there are some additional youth centers that are recent in Coquitlam. These are extremely important. I know my youth rely heavily on rec facilities for their youth centers. It gives them somewhere safe to go. It gives them a place where they feel included. And I think that these types of services are absolutely essential for community, especially youth, to thrive. Having sports is a big one, and we are very lucky in Coquitlam. I think we have such an awesome sporting community, and I really appreciate and value what Kids Sport does, because in my line of work, I work with a lot of children and youth who are a lot more vulnerable. So it's important that we have we ensure that the services we have are accessible to all youth and families, and again, not just a selected few that can afford them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Traffic and transit and parking obviously remain concerns. What solutions would you champion?
Yeah, there's no doubt that what I've been hearing on the doorstep is a major concern about traffic congestion, particularly in what I would call central Coquitlam by town center. And I've talked to the city council about this, because even at the town hall, we've been hearing about a bit of a change in how their traffic lights are working, and that it might be holding up a lot of traffic, especially coming from Westwood Plateau and trying to get to other places. And so again, I mean, I'm not an expert in this, and this is where I think, again, we need to realize council members are not experts. If we want to look for solutions, we really need to be reaching out to experts or other communities on what is working and what isn't, because I think that's where we'll find most of our answers. And I also feel that we really, again, need to ensure that we're listening to the community on what is working and what's not working, rather than us trying to, reinvent the wheel or stay the course without really understanding what the real impacts are for our community members.
Mm-hmm. So we'll shift into, what is your leadership style and what would you bring to council, Jane?
Oh, well, leadership style, I mean, I sometimes worry that I am a very compassionate, kind person. I don't want that to be mistaken for weakness. I'm very strong and passionate, and very big on collaboration. What I love about municipal government level is that it brings together a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different values, a lot of different ideas, But the main thing is that we collaborate in, an inclusive and respectful environment. And so that is my style of leadership is I would like to feel respected in bringing my ideas forth. And in turn, I am very open to hearing other people's ideas and then bringing those back to the community and finding out, okay, what is it that will work best for our community?
Mm-hmm. So residents, sometimes they feel disconnected from municipal politics. Quickly, could you let us know how would you improve transparency and public engagement?
I think anytime we can have public engagement or consultation processes are huge. I think town halls are essential. However, I will say that, it is becoming harder and harder, I think, for a lot of people in the community to attend these meetings simply because a lot of people are working multiple jobs, their kids are in sports. It's really hard to find the time, and that is a lot to do with affordability. So I think that we need to make time to ensure that we're actually going to places where residents are rather than an expectation of residents always coming to us. And, I'm grateful that we have Frechette News. I'm obviously grateful to Tri-Cities Community Television. These things are so valuable. And I wish we had more. When we lost Tri-City News, Coquitlam Now, it was really unfortunate. And so I think if we can find, other ways of making sure that the public is getting the information they need and or, coming up with solutions to really get involved more in their communities, in their residential associations, in the sporting community and really get out there, then I think we and also, I think we have now 29 first spoken languages in Coquitlam, and that's a big one, right? And I really appreciate how well, and I love the multiculturalness, and I think that Coquitlam does a really good job of celebrating these different cultures. Is there room for improvement in ensuring that we're communicating in those languages? Probably, absolutely. So something to consider as well.
Mm-hmm. What is one thing about Coquitlam you absolutely love?
Oh my gosh. For me, it is the green spaces and the rivers. We are fortunate. We live in a small community called River Springs, and I love it there. It's very, very friendly, and we're right along the Coquitlam River. Right. And certainly during the summer months, that's just becomes our backyard. And all people from all over Coquitlam and outside of Coquitlam, they line up along the river in their chairs.
Absolutely.
And it's just such a beautiful oasis of helping us stay cool and keeping us connected and having fun and learning about nature. So definitely along the Coquitlam River is where I like to be.
What's something that people don't know about you?
Something people don't know about me is that perhaps that I speak French. I'm fluent in the French language, and I know we have a very strong French population here in Marville. And so I grew up in Quebec, and I spent 18 years living there, did French immersion, so I'm fluent in the French language and look forward to connecting more with the French community. And I think that would be a big asset to the community as well.
Now, why should residents vote for you?
Well, I'm hopeful that residents will give me a chance or learn more about me and want to support me. I think mostly because I am a strong voice for community, and I want to be that voice for workers' rights, for families, and for seniors. I want to be a voice for our environment. I want to help out with, collaborating with schools, with provincial government, with sporting communities, with church communities. I really feel that it's this collaboration of bringing people together and really listening to one another that is really what is going to make our community thrive. So I hope that I'm given a chance to make Coquitlam proud.
Well, that's fantastic. Thanks so much for being with us today, Jane. You're listening to Jane Thomsing today. She is running for the city of Coquitlam on October 17th. I'm encouraging you all to get out and vote. She loves her green space, and she believes in a strong voice on council. So on October 17th, we're looking for your vote. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Cathy Cena.